Dr. Carnell,
Present.
Ms. Lewis,
Present.
Chair Thomas.
Present.
We have a quorum present.
Well, we'll start then with something that we might have missed because we haven't had a meeting for a couple months. Ms. Hunter, this is no criticism. If you did it, I didn't notice it. What Ms. Spivey usually did was about 10 days to 2 weeks before a meeting, she would send out an email and ask who can make it to the meeting and if anybody was having any problems. And I will tell you that was always helpful to Ms. Lewis and I in the past. So I think it might have just been overlooked this time, but as I said, if you did send one out and I missed it, I apologize.
No problem.
Okay, very good. Let's move on to approval of the June 21st, 2023 meeting minutes. I will tell you, I assume everybody's taken a look at them. That was a long time ago. I had to jog my memory on them. Look them over. If anybody has any questions or comments, we'll talk about it. If not, maybe somebody could make a motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Let's move on to unfinished business. What we have on unfinished business is an update from the commission staff for a proposed ethics ordinance amendment status. And I really did want to talk to you as a group about this. If we had met a month or two ago, we have had this on our agenda each month. Going back to the time, I think before I became chair, it might have been the end of 2022. I don't think we've made any headway. I really don't know what this is accomplishing. I really don't, putting this on the agenda every month. I know that Dr. Carnell is the senior most member of the board, and I remember that you worked on the original proposed amendments that went to the commission. I think it went to them about 2.5, 3 years ago. And nothing was ever done on that. And I'm going to tell you, I know that at the meeting, some people said, well, it went here, it went there. The way I'll leave it is this. I don't think we ever learned anything substantive about what happened to those proposed rule amendments. Well, we started, Ms. Lewis, Mr. Schaefer, and I, we were appointed by former Chair Pinkins to review those proposed changes and come up with any others that we felt were relevant. So we all worked on it as a group. And I know that Mr. Pinkins, who I have great respect for, told me at the time, he said, Thomas, when you become chair, you're going to have to somehow keep after this, or these proposed amendments may get lost. And I honestly believe that the proposed amendments that we sent have gotten lost. Nothing substantive has happened. So we're putting this on every month. And let me tell you what my concern is. When you put this on every month, and we talk about it every month, and we come in here and then we get a report that, somebody's looking at it, it's here, it's there. I don't really think that does too much. Honestly, I think that may almost appear that we're being placated by that. And I don't know that it's a good idea to have it on every month. The way I would like to, and you have to remember, this was not done by motion. It was something that I wanted done when I became chair. I had the discretion to talk to I had the discretion to talk to Ms. Spivey and now Ms. Hunter every month about what's going to go on the agenda, what's going to be put on the agenda. And I said that I felt it was a good idea, but my goodness gracious, that was like 11 months ago and nothing has happened. I don't want it to appear to anybody, and anybody could make any motion they want, and I'll defer to the group. I just don't think this is doing any good, us coming back every month and having somebody, whether it's Ms. Johnson or one of her assistants, stand up and say, well, we're looking at it here, we're looking at it there. I think that perhaps the better way to handle it would be to take it off the monthly agenda, and let's appoint the subcommittee of the group. We could have 3 people on the subcommittee to work with Mr. Longstreet to come up with an idea as to how we could move it along. One of the things that I was thinking is maybe if we did a letter signed by a subcommittee that went to the chair of the commission. She's a very gracious woman. I've met her before. maybe that might move things along. But as I said, this is just something that I've had on my mind for a couple months now. I don't think that anything has been accomplished. And I do remember one meeting, and I think it might have been Mr. Schaefer, but I'm not certain. One of the questions that was raised at a meeting to Ms. Johnson was, well, when do you think we might hear something? We're not hearing anything every month. So when do you think we might hear something? And honestly, it was with all due respect to Ms. Johnson and her staff, they're great people. They're very thorough. I don't think that right now, today, as we sit here, that we know anything about the status of the matter. So with all that said, I want to tell you, I came up with what I considered a brainstorm to keep it on the front of everybody's mind. And if everybody wants to keep doing this, we can keep doing this every month. I know we have somebody here today who's going to probably give us a report on it. But I would think that if we want to put together a subcommittee, 3 members or more, and when you do 3 members, you don't have to prepare minutes for the meeting because it's not a quorum. There might be other creative things we want to do. So I'm going to open the floor for discussion, and I'm very comfortable with anything that the board decides.
Perhaps.
Make your microphone, please.
Can you hear me now?
Is the green light on?
Okay. Perhaps we could see what the update is today. And,
Okay.
see what
That-
we need to do.
Okay, does everybody agree to that? We'll listen to what the update is today. I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Please identify yourself for the record and turn your mic on and give us an update.
Good morning to this honorable body. Mary Parisian, Assistant Commission Counsel. I want to first and foremost rest this body assured that your edits have not gotten lost. They have been looked at. They're currently being worked on, which I know is not something you want to hear. But please note that it is a process. It does take time. It is up to this honorable body, however you wish to proceed with a subcommittee moving forward, but ultimately the edits still have to go through the commission, which will come back to commission staff. So I do want to just let you know the process itself would not change, but we have not lost anything. We're not trying to placate you at all. The edits are being reviewed. Thank you. And I apologize for the inconvenience.
Pardon me?
I apologize for any inconvenience.
No, there's been no inconvenience and no need to apologize. You gave us the same report we've been getting for a year.
Yeah, it's the same report.
Dr. Ford, does that satisfy you?
Yes.
Well, I tell you what, the floor is open. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on it. Dr. Carnell, if I could just ask you one question, do you believe that I fairly summarized what happened after that old set of proposed amendments went up 2.5, 3 years ago?
I think it was around maybe 2.5 years ago. And then as the commission was reviewing it, or the commission staff was reviewing it, it appeared that when they got revised, that may have delayed a little bit of the process, right? So if the commission was already looking at it, and then we said, oh, wait a minute, we want to revise it, that elongated the process. And I do want to state for the record, even though I led the discussion, I wasn't the sole person working on the ordinance. So if the chair wants to do a subcommittee with brainstorming ideas, that's fine. The only hesitation I have with sending a letter directly to the commission, I think a letter, if any, should go to council first, because I don't want to go over council who is trying to work on our behalf to try to get these ordinance done.
All right. Anybody else want to bring up any points or talk about anything? Because as I indicated, I'm comfortable with leaving this on every month, or if we want to talk about doing something else, we can. Mr. Schaefer, you had your.
Okay, now I'm on. I think we should stay the course. Ms. Parisian outlined what's going to happen. And I think we just have to go through the process. And I think adding a committee to it is not going to move us forward. It's just going to create a committee. So I would just say we ask for an update from the corporate counsel representative every month, and that's, I think, the best we can do at this time.
Could I ask you, with all due respect, I don't want to get into what else you're working on, but are you one of the individuals working on the proposed amendments that we sent over?
Through the chair to the chair, yes.
Yes. Okay. Are other people working at,
Yes, others are working on it as well.
pardon me?
Yes, there are others working on it. as
Okay.
well.
Well, go ahead. I'm
Are
sorry.
there any questions that you guys are stuck on or anything you need clarification? Would that help move it along if you engage?
There is an additional research that needs to be done based
Okay.
upon some of the information that we have looked at, just to ensure that legally it's sound
Okay,
to include in the ordinance. So I'll just say that it is under review. There are some items that still need to be researched.
because I guess it would also be nice to know what those items are,
Yes.
specifically where you're stuck when we have updates, because they're so high level, we're not sure where you are in the process. Just give us something that we can take.
I don't want to go too far into the weeds with it because
Okay,
I don't want to take up your meeting,
Maybe-
but specifically the investigation piece
okay,
and understanding the authority and all of that nature. And like I said, I could go into more detail at this moment, but I don't think that would be fruitful.
so I think we could continue to keep it on the agenda, but a subcommittee would be helpful maybe to engage you all with questions to move the process along.
Well, maybe,
Have like questions about the investigation, and then, we had our legal counsel on there, so maybe
course, of
there's
course.
opportunity to discuss that
Oh,
together.
absolutely. Absolutely. I
Mhm.
think for all of us, though, it would be helpful to have all of the questions and all the input at one time
Okay.
instead of piecemealing it back and forth.
Okay,
So if we come back with all of our concerns, it would be more efficient that way.
so could you give us a timeline at the next meeting where you think that all of that would be wrapped up?
Sure, let me touch base with the team and see what we can do from there.
Okay, thank you.
okay.
you.
And maybe you could send an email out to Ms. Hunter, who will forward it to all members of the board. Unless you're able to do that on your own. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to do that on your own.
Let me
But-
touch base with the team.
Okay, very
Thank
good. Well, if everybody, what we'll do is that this is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that maybe a subcommittee at some point would be good, but for right now, this monthly discussion is helpful. And I would just say this, I don't want to put you in the hot seat, but if you're one of the people that are working on it, I think it would be helpful for us to hear from you every month as opposed to one of your superiors or one of the other individuals. If you're the constant, if you're the constant, I think that would be helpful. And then maybe what we could do is this, if we hear back from legal counsel's office and they indicate that they have questions or they want something done, we can put together a subcommittee to meet and discuss that. Would everybody be satisfied with that? Somebody could summarize it in the minutes that we're going to continue putting this on the agenda. We're hoping that you're the individual that will be reporting to us. And that if and when we get questions and concerns in from your office, we'll put together a subcommittee to address them. Everybody comfortable with that?
Yep.
All right. Well, with that, with item number 1 under update from C1, the update from commission staff, we now have that. We're moving on. This will continue to be a monthly agenda item. Let's move on to subparagraph D, new business, item number 1. Communication dated September 7th, received September 19th, 2023 from Reverend John W. Taylor, Ray, a violation of section 40-9 ethics statement of the ethics ordinance by Sheriff Raphael Washington. And what I would like to start with, Mr. Longstreet, would be an update from you on what you've already done on this complaint from the Reverend.
Very well. I have received a complaint from Reverend John Taylor of Sterling Heights, Michigan, against the Wayne County Sheriff's Department and Wayne County Sheriff Ralph Washington, alleging basically a reiteration of his prior complaint in 2022. 40.7 C5 notice has been sent to all parties in reference to this. It has been sent to Sheriff Counsel David Milton. We have not received a reply from the Sheriff's Department as of yet.
I would like to point out something before we get into discussion. regarding the complaint itself. I noted that in the complaint, it indicates that, and I'm paraphrasing now, that this board gave a directive to the sheriff about things that needed to be done. I would just say this. I've been on this board for a while now. I don't think we've ever given a directive to anybody based upon a complaint we received that they should do anything. That's not our job. We don't have authority to do that. So does anybody have any questions for Mr. Longstreet regarding the action that's been taken? When are we expecting an answer, a response, if one is going to be submitted? Would that be submitted prior to the November meeting?
It should, yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? I do note that Reverend Taylor is in the audience today. We are going to afford him an opportunity to speak, but before we do that, any board members have any questions or concerns that they want to talk about regarding the complaint or action taken by our council? No. Well, Reverend Taylor, I do want to tell you, I've talked to the vice chair and I've talked to our council. I really don't know that it's necessary for you to speak or address us today because the only thing we have is your complaint. We don't have an answer to it. But because we have such great respect for you and because you've appeared in front of us in the past and you are a very gracious individual, we're going to allow you a very short, brief opportunity to tell us anything you would like to bring to our attention. Should he stand up at the podium?
You can come to the table.
Okay, so you could sit at one of these chairs. I think that the microphone at the podium doesn't work well. Pardon me? Yeah, yeah.
Good morning, honorable board members,
Good morning.
Chair Thomas.
Good morning.
Since the last time I was here, latter part of last year, and we were addressing the same issue about volunteer workers with the Wayne County Jail. And by the way, I've been with them for about over 30 years with the Wayne County Jail as a volunteer minister. And my complaint was that we were being asked to sign documents, intake documents, clearance documents, in order for us to be clear to go into the jail. And the problem was they were not giving us access to these documents to read, to go over, to understand, to ask questions. They just wanted us to just sign them, period. And I didn't feel comfortable with that. And that's when I brought it to the attention of the board. Mr. Longstreet wrote a very concise and beautiful letter explaining that it was the position of the board that those documents should be supplied to the volunteers before even demanding that they just sign them. And that was submitted also to Raphael Washington Sheriff. And he said there was no action going to be taken on that. A year transpired, but the only difference with this complaint that I'm filing now, if you read the complaint, and I'm not going to be lengthy either, Chair Thomas.
Well, remember, at public comment, you're going to have an opportunity to speak for a couple minutes. I wanted to give you a couple minutes to talk now just about what we've discussed around the table here so far. So keep it brief.
Okay. The issue here is that this filing of the complaint this time, it has to do with the Ethics Ordinance Section 49, which states that every public servant shall sign an ethics statement attesting they have read, understood, and agreed to abide by the standards as set forth in this chapter. This is required of Wayne County employees. But I think the same premise should be also established for the workers that come in. They should be afforded that same opportunity to be able to read, understand, and agree to abide by the doctrines. Now, since our last meeting together, I've contacted numerous county officials, Warren Evans, county executive with this situation, Wayne County prosecutors, Wayne County Commissioner, Felicia Johnson, Wayne County Clerk, Kathy Garrett, Chief Judge Wayne County Probate Court, Freddie Burden. Now you may ask, why am I contacting all these people? Well, first of all, with Kathy Garrett and also the prosecutor and Judge Burden, they were part of the three-person panel that appointed Sheriff Raphael Washington during this first term. So I contacted them just to get some advice on where to go with this, since the ethics board wasn't able to have this matter resolved. I also contacted the city council president, the mayor's office, and also Detroit Board of Ethics, Miss Phillips, Crystal Phillips. Out of all these people that I've contacted, I only got 2 recommendations that I thought were really concrete. One was from Judge Burton. He said, you may have to seek legal advice on this to address this situation. The second one was from the prosecutor's office. They said, I advise you to go back to the ethics board. So that's why I'm back again with the same issue.
Well, we appreciate that, but they're just, I'm going to tell you, you have another opportunity to speak very briefly at the end of the meeting during public comment. The only thing that I will tell you is this, Reverend, with all due respect, the board did not direct the sheriff to do anything. The board did not have authority to do that. In Mr. Longstreet's letter, which is cited in your complaint, this is what was said. And I'm going to skip to the last sentence. It is in the best interest of Wayne County and the general public that the county operates with fundamental fairness and is transparent and fully informative with the citizens it serves. So that was what we told them. But with that said, we understand the complaint. I think that you've even given more information that will help board members understand the basis of your complaint. So we're going to talk about it now. You're here. This is an open meeting. We're going to make a decision as to what we're going to do next, and you'll have an opportunity again to talk later. Thank you. Any board members want to discuss this matter further? Any board members want to ask Reverend Taylor any questions? If you do, we're going to require brief answers from them. But if anybody has any questions or concerns about what Mr. Longstreet has initiated, that is sending it to the sheriff's office and saying, we want an answer to this, we'd like an answer. If you have any questions, now is the time to talk. And if not, I'll entertain a motion that we just continue the matter over until the next meeting.
I have a question. Can you restate the difference in this complaint again? Yes.
Yes. The difference, Vice Chair Lewis, isn't it?
Yes.
Vice Chair, the difference in this complaint that I did not include in the first complaint, which was about a year ago, I referenced section 49 of the ethics ordinance, which states, every public servant shall sign an ethics statement attesting that they have read, understood, and agreed to abide by the standards set forth in this chapter.
Okay. So are you saying as a volunteer, you should be able to sign? You want to be afforded this opportunity to sign the ethics statement?
Yes, ma'am. It's almost like a contradiction. You're expecting county employees to abide by these, but they in turn have volunteers working under their supervision. They don't give them the opportunity to read, understand, and agree to abide by standards.
Okay.
Any other, yes, Dr. Carnell?
Thank you. My question is there any reason why Mr. Taylor, Reverend Taylor, did not submit the supporting documents of the people that he contacted with his complaint?
Did you understand the question?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
Well, I think what Dr. she'll explain it to you.
You have a list of documents of responses. I presume they're responses that you received from all of the entities that you contacted or individuals from different entities that you contacted. I wondered why you did not include the responses, the written responses from the individuals in the different entities with your complaint.
You're talking about all the people that I've contacted, included that in my complaint? I really didn't think that was necessary. I mean, the fact that I'm here now, I have documentation of these letters that I've received from these various officials, Wayne County officials, as well as City of Detroit officials.
Right.
Dr. Carnell, would you like those? Would you like him to provide copies that we can
Yes.
circulate for the next meeting?
Yes.
Can you please do that, Reverend?
Yes, I can do
Just
that.
send them in. We'll have them copied and circulated at Dr. Carnell's request.
I can do that.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I have one question. Reverend Taylor, were your specific concerns the clearance documents only?
That's it. The clearance I have been having to sign clearance documents for about 35 years. And we have to renew them about every 2 years. But this particular year, I don't know if COVID had something to do with it, but now they gave us these extensive documents, including this manual that was about 1,000 pages long, over 1,000 pages long. Mr. Longstreet, he's familiar with this. And they wanted us to just sign, we understood, and we read it. And
You say you weren't afforded a time to read. They didn't give you the manual and the documents in advance of requiring
No.
you to sign.
no, they didn't.
Okay.
Well,
Question.
okay, I'm sorry. Yes, Dr. Carnell.
I'm curious to know if you haven't seen the documents, how do you know they're 1,000 pages long?
I was told by Chief Robert Dunlap that they were online. And I went online. I didn't read all those documents, 100,000 pages, over 1,000 pages. I didn't read all that because a lot of that didn't even pertain to volunteer workers. So that's how I was aware of it, because he did say go online. But the fact that I think from a practical standpoint, if you have information in that manual that pertains to volunteer workers, that should be extracted out of there, out of that 1,000-page document, and condense it so that volunteer workers can understand just what is it they're being bound to.
So your complaint, if I may continue,
Yes.
your complaint initially said that you weren't afforded the documents. I'm now hearing that you were afforded the documents, but they weren't in a fashion that was acceptable to you.
Let me be more clear then. When this new application package for clearance was put out, including the documents, a manual, that's what it was. I inquired from Chief Dunlap about it. That's when he told me it was online. And that's when I looked at it. But at the same time, this was not given to any volunteers. They were just told that this 4,300 manual, you had to abide by it. I was just the one that inquired. I don't know what other people did, but to my knowledge, it wasn't made available to them.
Are you satisfied? You know, Reverend Taylor, I'm speaking from memory right now, and I hope that my memory is correct. I will tell you that I remember you attended multiple monthly meetings. I think that there were at least 2, maybe 3 meetings.
About
that
3
you
or 4,
attended,
really.
And you spoke. I will tell you, I recall that our counsel, Mr. Longstreet, made you very clearly aware of the website where the documents could be located. And I want to tell you, I could be mistaken, but I think I remember you saying that you were aware of that website. I could be wrong, but I'm just telling you. So we may have some further questions for you. We're going to let you talk again at the end of the meeting, but we're going to ask are all board members satisfied and have no further questions of Reverend Taylor? Because if so, I'll entertain a motion that may suggest that we adopt what Mr. Longstreet has recommended and in fact what he has done to date. Any other pardon me?
I'd like to hear I'm sorry, I'd like to hear the recommendation first.
At this point, I haven't given a recommendation that we should be done. I have not given a recommendation to this honorable board as to what directive to take at this point because we have not received any responses from the respondent.
So what he has already done, Dr. Carnell, he's already sent it out for an answer and we're awaiting the answer. And I think you indicated.
Once I receive an answer, then I'll give
Yeah.
directives.
Yeah. So I think if there's going to be a motion, it would just be to put the matter over until the next meeting. He's already taken action on it. Do we have a motion?
Motion to put this over to the next meeting.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. The next matter that we have to pardon?
Chair Thomas, I wanted to know, is it okay if I ask Mr. Longstreet if he can give us,
No, Reverend Taylor, we've given you some time to speak. I do want you to know that I'm not even certain that you are entitled to speak at this point because we don't have the answer from the respondent yet. But I wanted to do that because you're present. So you'll get an opportunity to speak again at the end of the meeting during public comment. So no further questions. So this matter is put over until next month, and hopefully by that time, we'll have an answer from the sheriff's office. Moving on now to item number 2, communication dated September 8, 2023, received September 19, 2023 from Bernard Hardrick. Violation of section 40-4A1 and F1 Standard of Conducts of Ethics Ordinance by Third Circuit Court Judge Darnella Williams Claiborne. Mr. Longstreet, can you tell us about this complaint and what you've done to date?
Yes, I have received a formal complaint from Mr. Bernard Hardwick, who is a inmate with the Michigan Department of Corrections. He has filed a complaint alleging violation of the Wayne County Ethics Ordinance 40-4, alleging that there has been misappropriation of funds by Judge Claiborne. First and foremost, we do not have neither personal or subject matter jurisdiction over Judge Claiborne and this matter. However, pursuant to 47C5, we have sent notice to Judge Claiborne without a response.
Do you anticipate receiving something from him, even if it was correspondence indicating that he doesn't plan to make a response because we have no jurisdiction?
Respectfully,
I apologize. Yep.
Judge Williams Judge Claiborne did indicate that she would be preparing a response, although she understood she did not have to.
All right, very good. So this would be another matter where we would have to put it over. Hopefully, we'll get something in prior to the November meeting. We'll be putting this over for discussion at that time.
That's correct.
Anybody want to make a motion based upon what he's done and what his recommendation is?
Motion to put over.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Paragraph E. Paragraph 3, rather, I'm sorry. Communication dated September 21st, 2023, received September 21st, 2023 from Adam Reemsma, Ray Children in the Genesee County Jail. Mr. Longstreet, have you had an opportunity to review this? And if so, do you have a recommendation for the board?
Yes, I have received this email from Mr. Resma. It is neither a formal complaint. It just seems to be a email communication making certain requests and allegations against the Genesee County Jail. I'm not going to go into the allegations. Everyone has read it. However, I believe this board at this point has no jurisdiction. There is no complaint there's no issue for this board to be heard. And I think this matter should be dismissed.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Longstreet or any comments that they may want to make regarding this document? I'm not going to call it a complaint. I don't know what it is. It seems like a
Yeah, I just
very unusual document.
have a general question when I read it. Do we have jurisdiction from Genesee County?
None whatsoever.
Yeah, that's right.
Genesee County is Flint, by the way.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to dismiss.
Seconded?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion passes. Now we're moving on to page 2 of the agenda. Public comments. Now, I do want to tell you, Reverend Taylor, if you want to, okay. Oh, such other matters as may properly submitted by the board. Anybody have any other matters they want to talk about?
Did we want to discuss the update of the complaint the board received against from Mr. Robert Davis?
Well, we're going to let him talk during public,
I would
Robert
advise,
Davis? Oh, no. Well, yeah, there's pending litigation, so we've been advised by our counsel. I can tell you this is a matter of public record. A motion for summary disposition has been filed regarding the lawsuit that was filed by Mr. Davis. That motion is pending right now, and we've had no further updates on it since we were informed of that. So That would be it. That's the update that we're able to make today.
Okay, thank you.
Any other matters? Moving on then to public comments on page 2. We have any other public comments other than Reverend Taylor? No emails,
No emails were received. There is no one on Zoom,
pardon me?
and there's no one on Zoom.
Okay, very good. Reverend Taylor, I'll tell you, we're gonna ask that you be brief. We let you talk. You're limited to 2 minutes. That's not a whole lot that you're gonna have to talk about. You may even want to just hold your peace until our next meeting. I don't know, but you have a right to speak and we're gonna give you that right.
Basically, I just have 2 questions. The letters that Dr. Cornell requested, should they go to you, Dr. Cornell, or should they go to the Ethics Board?
You can email us at wcethics@waynecounty.com.
Okay. Second question, Mr. Longstreet, are you able to identify who is the contact person you're waiting to get back with?
If I'm directed by the chair, yes.
Yes.
That would be David Milton,
Milton.
attorney for the Wayne County Sheriff's Department.
Milton?
David Milton.
Thank you. That's all.
That's it?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
If there are no other matters, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion passes.